So welcome back to the Crochet Crowd. So it's my friends over at yarnspirations.com. This is a kind of a choose your own adventure pumpkin. So we have 3 different pumpkins that are very similar to each other, but they're actually all have a little bit of something unique to them. So what we have is 1, 2, and 3, and so the pattern has been divided up. So if you look at the eyes, you've got triangle eyes, you've got round eyes. Each one of the mouths are completely different. This one even has a nose. So what we want to do today is just get you through this pattern. So I'm gonna break up the tutorial so that it makes sense. But we will be working through this sequentially. So we'll do the main body, and then we'll do the stem, and then we're gonna do the eyes that we have here. And then as you see in page number 2, you can see that there's different kinds of mouths, and then you basically put them all together. So today we're gonna use a 4.25 millimeter a US G hook, and recommending Red Heart with Love as your choices. Now we're in the heart of pumpkin country here in Nova Scotia. Oh my god, the pumpkin fields around here are so amazing, and the diversity and the coloring and the styling of pumpkins is really something to behold, especially in the fall here. So this is our homage to pumpkins, and this is the 3 Little Pumpkins, and without further ado, let's begin to work on our bodies first, and then we'll be breaking this up. So the body is actually really quite easy, and it's just a matter of just doing the work. So let's begin. So I'm just gonna choose a pumpkin color. This is called Mango in the coloring of Red Heart with Love, and we're gonna create a slip knot to begin. And what we want to do is, if you want to do all 3 you can. If you just want to do 1, it's okay too. So with the one on the hook, we want to chain a total of 36. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and go all the way to 36 for me, and meet me back here in just a moment. Now that I have my 36 done, I'm gonna go second chain from the hook. So this is row number 1. Second chain from the hook, just turn it around and get the back hump only of the chain. It will look nicer, and just single crochet yourself all the way back across your chain. Just staying on the back hump for each one of those, and I'll see you at the end of row number 1. Okay, coming all the way across, just single crocheting in the back of the chain. And now that I've gone all the way, you're gonna turn your work and commence and start row number 2 next. Now this pattern is a little unique. When you do the double crochet rows, you're going to chain 2, and that will not count as any stitch. It's just a builder, and it will keep the ends looking full. So starting in the very first stitch that you have, you're going to do a double crochet. So usually when you chain up 3, the next stitch is your double crochet. In this case they don't want you to count that, so you continue to build. So just remember the chain 2 space is not a stitch. So just single or double crochet yourself all the way back across your row, and it's really quite an easy thing to do, and I'll see you at the end of this row. This is number 2. So coming all the way across, and I'm just double crocheting right to the end. So going to your last stitch. This completes off row number 2, and row number 2 and 3 are the repeat patterns. So you'll be doing this row again in the future. So turning your work, and let's do row number 3 next. So row number 3 is gonna chain up 1, and starting in the very first one you're going to single crochet, and then you'll single crochet in everything going back all the way across. So rows 2 and 3 are the repeat pattern throughout this whole thing, and do this all the way across, and I'll see you back here in just a moment. So when you get all the way across, make sure that you're just going to the double crochet, which is the last one. This chaining of 2 doesn't count as anything. So make sure you just stick on the top. See, it looks full. So you're going to turn your work, and you're going to repeat rows number 2 and 3. So, and it says to repeat it 27 times. Here's a little secret. So the 27 times is rows 2 and 3 once, 2 and 3 twice, 2 and 3 3 times, and etc. This double crochet row is very easy to count. So what I would do if I were you is that you need to see 28 of those. So when you're going to do this, instead of checking it off on a list, you can count this double crochet row, and there should be a total of 28 of those. So you'll see 28 of that, and then you'll see a single crochet right after it. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick you up on row number 58, which will be the final row, which will be the double crochet row just like you see it here, and then we'll do our attaching from that point. So at this point you're just gonna repeat rows number 2 and 3 27 more times. So a double crochet, a single, and then you'll see 28 of these double crochet rows when you're counting those, and then you'll do a single crochet right after it, and then that's where I'm gonna pick you up on row number 58. So now I have my body filmed. So the very first time you saw me just a few seconds ago, that was actually a month ago. I've been meaning to get this done. So I have the distance. I actually did it a month ago. I just haven't continued filming. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to fasten this off. Now I want to leave a 16-inch long tail, and if you want to go a little bit longer, it's up to you. And what we're going to do is then bring that to conclusion. Where's my hook? There it is. Okay, so I'm going to just pull that through. Now for tutorial reasons I'm going to go through all the faces and etc., but I'm gonna put my pumpkin together right now so that it's done, and I'm going to use a tapestry needle and the same color, and I'm going to sew the two sides together like this. So I'm gonna do that as a whip stitch. So that's my next step. So what I like to do is that I like to create a slip knot on the sewing strand. So this is a separate strand. It's not the same one as this one, and I want to throw that through a tapestry needle, and I'm going to do a whip stitch that is going to join both of the sides together. And the reason why I created the slip knot on this side, you'll watch. So I'm gonna go through the top of the one side here, and I'm gonna choose the top of the other side, and I'm going to slam on that loop. And when I pull that shut, that loop is gonna close onto itself, completely locking that in. Right? And I'm gonna throw the strand on the inside of the pumpkin. And I'm gonna go into the next stitch on this side, the next stitch on this side, and I'm gonna pull this through, and this is a whip stitch, so I'm just jumping around. Okay, and I'm gonna come to the next one and the next one like that. And I'm gonna work my way all the way down like that. So you can see it's pretty much almost seamless. You'll be able to see a little bit, of course, and I want you to do whip stitch all the way to the end, and I'll show you how to fasten off that in just a moment. So come all the way down to the bottom, all the stitches lined up. It's not even a camera trick, it's the real deal. And in the very last one here, I want to just throw it through this before I close it. So now I'm just gonna stick the hook onto the inside and just look at it from the inside perspective. Sorry, the needle. And I want to just secure it on the inside, so just making sure that it will catch through, and I'm just gonna put another tie here. And I don't really necessarily want the loose ends all kind of sloppy on the inside of this thing. No, we'll never see it, but I worry that sometimes loose ends can wake their way out between the stitches. So I'm just weaving it in and out 3 times, the standard technique of securing those loose ends, and then I can cut it. So I'm going to move on, and now we're going to stuff it, and I'm gonna show you a squatting option that's not in the pattern, but you know, if you like to do the squatting, it's awesome. So if you left a long strand and it's ready for you, if not, you can just create another one, and we're going to work our way along the base. So both sides are going to be done the same way. The difference is that we're gonna secure the bottom first, and then start the stuffing, and then secure the top, and I'll show you how to squat it down. So I just put on the 16-inch, well, it's probably longer than that, but who cares, right? So I'm going to just randomly pick up the edge. Now I get an absolute thrill about seeing it all compress at the same time. So when I do this, I like just to let it hold, and then I just go down a little bit further, and I'm going to circulate all the way around this thing, and then at the end I'm going to pull it, and it will close it completely. So we'll do that in just a second. So I've just now come all the way around, and I'm going to just pull, and this will collapse the whole bottom section. So I'm going to want to help it a bit too, because it's a long pull all the way around. So just kind of pull things. Now as soon as you think that you have it enough, I got it as close as I probably can. There's a lot going on in this. So what I'm going to do then is that I'm gonna take that same strand, and I'm gonna go diagonally, straight across, and I'm going to secure it, and it will close in that hole. And I want to kind of look at this thing. Just put your hands on the inside, you can probably see it more, and just kind of see where you need to pull in the most, and then continue to pull that in and go across, and you'll want to go diagonal and etc. to pick up all those so that you can close that in. So I'll leave that for you, and I'll see you back here in just a moment. Once you think you have it closed enough, which I do, is that I'm going to just have this tie off on the outside here. Just pull it through there, pick it up, and it will compress onto itself, and then stick your needle through and then open it up to the back side so that you can see it on the inside here, and bring it on through. And what I wanted to do is secure that on the inside. So I can do this one at least because it's not been stuffed yet. The other one will be a different story. So just tie this off on the inside, hide in your loose ends, and then you'll be good to go. So I'll see you back here in just a moment to get this done. So we're now looking at the inside of the hat, and what I need to do is reach over for my stuffing, and I'm gonna put some stuffing and be pretty generous about it, and then if you have to pull out any extra you can, but then I'm going to feed the outside with what I had done before with just the strand of picking up the edges, but I want to make sure that this is stuffed properly. So before I do the final final pull, like I'll pull it a little bit, but before I do the final I want to make sure it's gonna be stuffed. In time this stuffing tends to relax, so you might want to be a little bit generous, but you don't want to expose your stitches either, so or like the stuffing through the stitches. So you want to be a little bit compact with it, but not to the point where it's gonna start bleeding on the stuffing. So now what I want to do is that I want to start closing this off. So right where that seam is where I would start. I already put my slip knot on the other side here, and I'm going to pull it through there so it will lock onto itself. So once you get it there, pull and then toss that loose end into the interior. So like before, we're just going to go around and collect the outside of these, and then I'll be right back as we'll do the final pull and do the test. So I'll see you back here in just a moment. So now that I have the whole exterior just done, I want to pull on it and close that in as well. So make sure that you're comfortable with as much stuffing as it's in there. It seems easier when it's stuffed. So you want to make sure you're comfortable with the stuffing, that it's gonna look good. If not, before you do anything, make sure that you are stuffing in the remaining spot that you have. Actually I think mine's gonna look good. Ooh, interesting. I like when things work out. So I'm just gonna play with this a little bit more, and that's as good as I'm gonna get it to go. Now all I'm just going to do is just go across like I did before and just close in that top piece, and I'll do that off camera as well. So just do that, and then I'll be right back, and I will show you a technique for squatting. I'm really good at like improvising, so I'll show you how to do that just in case you want it to be kind of not so round like it is in the picture, so you can kind of squat it down. I'll be back in just a moment after I get this closed. Okay, so I have this closed, but I have not tied it completely done yet. So I'm looking at it, both sides look pretty good, and so this is kind of the shape that it is, and if I would have stuffed it more it probably would have been taller, but I kind of like pumpkins that kind of sink down a little bit like that. So what I would do if I were you in order to get that is put your hook or your needle in and just compress it to the point where it comes out the other side, the bottom. Be very careful when you do that, by the way, because the thickness is pretty thick. There it comes. So I'm really compressing it in, and I'm coming to the other side. Don't stab yourself whatever you do. And I'm coming to the other side, and when I pull, this is going to pull it down because you're compressing it in the space. So you want to pull it, if you're gonna do this, you want to do it sensibly, because if you are gonna put a face on this thing, then you are going to want to leave some space for the face to go in, right? So you want to kind of do that if you want to, and if not, you don't have to make it squat either. But once you're satisfied with it, then you can just tie it off and get this done. So I may have squatted it a little bit too much, but you know, I've never seen a perfect pumpkin. Well, maybe. So I will just get this tied off, and then we'll move on in the pattern for doing all the extra pieces that you can do. So moving on in the pattern, we are going to do the stem. You see that they're all the same for each one of those. You can decide the color, and that's what we're going to be doing next. So let's begin. I want you to grab a spare piece of yarn just like so. You can use stitch markers if you wish, and we're going to create a slip knot still using the same size hook, and we are going to carry on. We're going to start with chaining of 2, so 1 and 2, and let's do round number 1. In round number 1 we're gonna go second chain from the hook, which is the only one pretty much there, and you're going to do 6 single crochets in that one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and as soon as you have the 6 in, I want you to place a stitch marker there. So just slide up underneath the 6th stitch and put that there, and then you can count the rounds as you go. Now if you have a hole in the top, we can just use that leftover yarn later to be able to secure that in to make it more closed. And let's move on to round number 2. So let's begin to do round number 2. So right where we are, we just finished round number 1. You can count to the 6th one back if you're not sure where to start here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and you're just going to apply 1 single crochet in each of the stitches going all the way around to where that stitch marker is. And this is closing in the top of this stem, and when I get to the stitch marker, you know that all the stitches are complete, which is the next one here. And then what I would do then is pull that stitch marker through that stitch, and then you'll have that marked and you're ready for round number 3. In round number 3 we're gonna grow this out a little bit. So then the next stitch that's available to you, which is right there, there's gonna be 1 in that stitch. So 1 single crochet, just fold it so it naturally wants to pop out towards you, and then the next one will have 2 stitches in it. So 1 and then 2. Okay, and then the next one will have 1 by itself, and then the next one will have 2, and you keep repeating that until you get to the stitch marker. It's always a little fiddly when you're doing this small stuff. So the next one is 1, and then 2 is into the last one here. So I know my counts are right, so I should end up with 2 at the stitch marker, and that will complete round number 3. Now it says rounds number 4 to 8 is to repeat row number 3. That's technically incorrect. I think it's they're telling us to repeat number 2. And the reason for that is that we don't want to grow this to be any thicker, like as wide as so if you keep adding doing number 3 multiple times, it'll turn it to like a cone. So what I want you to do then is for 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8, there's 5 rows or 5 rounds. Just apply 1 single crochet into each of the stitches going all the way around, and then that will help it to do that. So just do that, and so these 5 rows are just 1 single crochet in each, and you'll know when you pass the stitch marker when you've completed a row, so you can check it off on your list. So please do rounds number 4 through 8 right now, and I'll see you back here in just a moment. So I'm still making my way through, so I have to do my 5 rows. So I have 1, 2, 3, and this is just finished the 4th. If you would like a slight bend in this, you can do it naturally, and what you can do for just a half of it, you can slip stitch, and what this will do is that it will shrink down the one side. So just slip stitch for like halfway across or halfway around, and what that will do is that it will shrink that side, and then what you can do on the other side is apply a half double crochet on the other side to create that bend. So most pumpkins that I know, the stems are not straight. So that's something that you can do if you want to, and that'll help it to give that motion if you would like to do that. Of course if you just want to follow the pattern, that's up to you as well. So right where it comes back around, the next few are going to be slip stitches. So what I would do is, I'm still half double crocheting, I would make these then single crochet because they're smaller than a half. So I'm turning now the slip stitches into singles, and then what you can do is just build it up around now just with singles all the way, and this will then create that bend, and you can make the stem a little bit longer too. It doesn't use up a lot of yarn, and that's something that you can decide for yourself. So I will see you back here in a moment, and either follow the pattern as written or just improvise, and I'll be right back and I'll show you how to attach it to your pumpkin. Once you're happy with the stem, then you're just going to slip stitch into the next stitch and then fasten off. So make sure you leave a long enough tail so you can sew that to your pumpkin. Now I did pull out the strand, so let me just pull this out here. I'm gonna pull out my stitch markers, and see this one here, remember how we had a hole in the top of that? We can just use that. Normally I would just cut it, but I wanna kinda just seal in that hole because we're gonna lightly stuff this stem to give it a little bit of volume, and I'm just going to run it across the top here just to close it. Okay, and then what I can just do is go on the inside of this thing, and it's gonna pop out through the bottom, and that'll pull that strand all the way through. Okay, so you can see it's got a little bit of a bend to it, which is what I wanted. And now I'm going to take some stuffing and just stuff it in this tight little hole right here. So just take a little bit of stuffing, just using your finger. If you want to put your finger in there just to stretch it out a little bit, you can. And then we'll try a little bit of stuffing. This might be a little bit too much, but we'll figure it out. You'll know right away. You can adjust. If you overstuff it, then I will lose the bend. So in my case I wanna watch where that seam line was. If you can follow it, it's right, yeah, it's right there. I can feel it. So let's just put the seam line on the back, and then when I position this and I have my little angle on it, then I can just make sure that it's favoring. I don't wanna put this on such an angle that there's no point of having it bend, right? So I'm kind of favoring it that it will just lean to the one side if the face is on the front here, and I'm just gonna position it and just kind of secure it in, and just go around the outside of this, securing it to the pumpkin. And then you can shape it later. So just surface crochet or sew this to the top of the pumpkin, and I'll be right back in just a moment. Okay, now that I've got this all the way around, I'm just going to have it tie, just loop it. I'm gonna do that twice, and then I'm gonna slam it through the interior, coming all the way to the other side, and then back through a slightly different path through the other. I really like my stuff to be so that you never see this falling out ever. Okay, so it's been tied and then it's woven in back and forth a total of 3 times. So that will conclude on doing the stem. And my seam line is on the back here somewhere, and when I look at it, my pumpkin then will have a lean over, and you can shape it as well. And now we're going to apply some motifs. So let's move on in the tutorial to something else. So let's move along in this tutorial. We're gonna do the small round eye. It's gonna be for the one that you see here. We'll do this first. I'm gonna show you all the sewing on the motifs later at the end, but I'm gonna just progress through all these different eye shapes, mouths and nose. Let's do this eye on here, and so you can decide if you want to mix or match and whatever you would like to do. Let's begin. So I am going to use yellow just to make it look like it's lit up, and we're going to just create a slip knot and then chain 2. So 1 and 2, and go second chain from the hook, which is the beginning one, and I want to apply 6 single crochet in that one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. There is a larger eye just in case you're wanting it bigger. So once you have that done, then we are going to then just work. So I want to apply that stitch marker. I'll just grab a different one here, and I want to put it into the last one here, and then I know when I've gotten all the way back around. So round number 2, the only round left is that you're gonna go 6 1 back. So 1 2 3 4 5 6, which is this one here, and you are going to apply 2 single crochets into each stitch. So 1 and 2, and keep doing that until you get to the stitch marker, and the stitch marker should be the last one. So if you like this size eye, then you'll just obviously do 2, unless you're gonna do a one-eyed pumpkin, which is quite possible. It's your creativity. You can decide what you would like to do. Like that. And then once you have that done, slip stitch to the starting one like that, and then that's it, your eye is done. So it's just a small little eye. You want to leave a long enough tail so that you can sew that onto your character if you would like to, and then that one's done. So you'd like to do 2 of those if you would like this size for your pumpkin. Now the interior, make sure that you don't think that this is gonna fall out, the interior one, but just cut it nice and short and it will be buried in behind anyway. And then you can remove your stitch marker, and that is the small eye if you would like to do that one. So moving on in the pattern, if you would like to do the large eye with this one here, it's right here. It's just an extra round based on this idea here, and we're gonna be moving on here. So let's do the large eye next. So let's get our color ready. I'm using yellow, so I have that other stitch marker close by, so I will need it. And we're going to begin by chaining 2, and we're gonna go 6 single crochets in the second chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and put in your stitch marker on that 6th one. And the idea is not to have that happen. Okay, and now we're gonna do the second round. So second round is going to be 2 single crochets starting in the 6th one back if you can't tell. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the 6th one back is gonna be the starting, and you're going to apply 2 single crochets in that one, and all the rest all the way to the stitch marker, which will then give you the small eye size, which we already did. And once you get to that stitch marker, do the last one there, but we're not done. We're gonna make it slightly bigger. And now we're moving on to the third round. So single crochet in the next stitch, 2 single in the next stitch, and repeat all the way around. So let's do that. So we're gonna do single in the next, and then 2 into the next one. So single in the next, 2 into the next, okay, single in the next, 2 into the next, single, and 2 into the next, single, 2 into the next, a single, and then 2 into the last one, which is the last one. So my counts are right. I'm just gonna pull that stitch marker out, and then once you have this secured, then you're just going to slip stitch into the next and leave a long enough tail, and you'll use that to sew it onto your character. Just pull that through and get that ready, and just deal with that last end. I just cut a little bit shorter, and then it will be buried in behind. So there is the larger eye of the two. So we have the small eye and the large eye. There's not too much of a difference, but it probably makes a difference on the project. So let's move along and to the triangle eye. Okay, we're moving along now to the triangle eye that you see within this pumpkin here. So if you'd like triangle eyes, this is what we're going to do, and let's begin. So let's start the triangle eye. It's done in a matter of rows. So we're going to start off with our slip knot, and we're going to chain a 2. So I'm going to assume that this is a point by chaining 2, and let's begin row number 1. So we're gonna go second chain from the hook, just 2 single crochets in that one. So 1 and 2, and then turning your work, let's do row number 2. So we're gonna chain up 1 and single crochet in the first stitch, and then 2 single crochets in the next stitch. So 1 and 2, that was number 2. Turn your work. Number 3 is chain up 1 and we're gonna slip stitch, or sorry, we're gonna single crochet in all 3 stitches only. So there's no growth, it's just working its way out. And then turn your work. Row number 4. Chain up 1, there's gonna be 2 single crochets in the first one, a single crochet in the next, and then 2 single crochets in the last one. And then finally row number 5, which will be the last row, just chain up 1 and 1 single crochet in each, going all the way across. And this is the triangle eye. So you're gonna wanna leave a long enough tail so that you can sew that to the project as well. You know, this is single crochet, so if you would like to refine the edging even more, there's nothing stopping you from chaining 1 and following this all the way around as well to give it a more refined look if you would like to. So you can just follow it with single crochets. These are alternative suggestions that are not based on the pattern itself, but something that I would consider doing just to give it that final oomph. When you get to the point, I would put in a total of 4 in there. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, so that can go up and back down, and then coming down the other side. Just 1 stitch into each one of the rows like that. I told you I love this kind of stuff. And then to turn the corner here, because it's not as big a point, you can just put in 3 single crochets in the end and then just come along the base. Now we started immediately with just putting 1 into the end, so in the very last one here I would put 2 single crochets. I'm completely cheating at this moment, and then do that. So you end up with a more refined looking eye if you would like to do that. So when you apply it to your pumpkin, it can actually be pretty cool. So that's just options. This is a triangle eye, and leave a long enough tail, you can sew that on too. So let's begin to do the triangle nose, which is on this one here, and it's a smaller version of the same as what we just did for the triangle eye, but we're only completing rows number 1 through 3, and you can determine if you wanna go around the outside. I really like this time, so I'm gonna do these triangles for my particular pumpkin because that's just what I want. So let's do rows number 1 through 3 only of the triangle eye, but only for the nose. Okay, let's do the triangle nose and repeat only rows number 1 through 3. So just chain up 2, 1 and 2, and you're gonna do 2 single crochets, second chain from the hook. So 1 and 2, and then you're going to turn your work, chain up 1 and do 1 single in the first one, and then 2 into the next. 1 and 2, and then finally row number 3, chain up 1, 1 single crochet in each, going across. Now if you would like to do the tracing like I did, so I'm just going to just chain up 1 and then begin to just circle around. I would also make sure that if you went up over top of the triangle for the 4 like I did before, I would kind of maintain the same idea. So 4 going up and over top, and then back down the other side. And then at the base of the triangle just do 3 so that you can turn, and then across the bottom. And because I started with just on the 1 on the front, the beginning, I'm going to apply 2 and then slip stitch it to the beginning. And so there's my mini triangle then for the nose. So that's it, and that concludes that off. Leave enough tail for that. And let's move along in the pattern now to what's next. The mouth for A is next. So let's move on to do the mouth for A, which I believe is this one here, and we're gonna start there, and B is then going to be this one, and then C is going to be the mouth of there. So choose your mouth and let's begin the first one, mouth number for the A colored body. So mouth number A, we're just going to just start with the slip knot and chain 21. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Second chain from the hook, we're going to then start and we're going to apply a single crochet second chain from the hook and single crochet in the next chain. Okay, so what we're going to do is get bigger and then half double crochet in the next 2 chain. So 1 and 2 in a row and double crochet in the next 2 chains. 1 and 2 and treble in each of across to the 6. Okay, so we're gonna keep trebling and we're gonna go until there's 6 chains left to be able to do. So I'm not gonna count those because it doesn't give a count, but just stop when there's 6 left. So I believe that there's 6 stitches left after this. So let's then continue. So after that one it's gonna double crochet in the next 2 only. And then half double crochet in the next 2. And then single crochet the last 2. And that'll give you your mouth. And you can obviously position it to have a smile if you would like to, or just a grimace, whatever you would like to do, maybe even a mad face. And then you want to leave a long enough tail so that you can actually sew that all the way. So you leave a long enough tail to go all the way across that mouth and just shape it onto your character in any way that you wish. So that was the mouth for a colored body, and get rid of any loose ends that you have, and you can position that onto your character at any time. Let's move on. Let's move along to mouth for color B, which is going to be this one here. It's a nice simple one, and it's actually the simplest one of them all. So let's move on to that one next. So creating a slip knot, and let's move on to mouth for B colored. You're gonna chain 21. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 21. And then second chain from the hook, you're just gonna go on the back of the chain and single crochet yourself all the way across. That's it. So you can position it in a smile or whatever you would like to do, and that would be it. So let's get to the other side of this and meet me back here in just a moment. Okay, once you get all the way to the other side, that's it. So you're gonna want to fasten this off long enough so that you can secure that and sew that onto your character as well. And you might want to deal with your tail ends of the original, get rid of that, just fasten it in, and then you can position that in the character when you're ready. So it can naturally wants to actually bend to form a smile. Let's move along to the final mouth for this particular example today. So let's move along to the final mouth on this example here. It looks like it has teeth. That's up to you if you'd like to do that, and let's just begin. So let's start off with the slip knot for the final mouth, and you're gonna chain 25. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25. Now we're gonna go third chain from the hook. So 1, 2, and the third, and you're going to double crochet, third chain from the hook, and the first chaining that we just skipped plus that one counts as each as a stitch, so they're considered 2. So double crochet in the next chain, it states, and then chain 2, and then you're gonna skip 2 chains. So 1, 2, and you're gonna double crochet in the next 2 chains after that. So that's gonna create that space, and then chain 2, skip 2, and double crochet in the next 2. And then chain 2, skip 2, double crochet in the next 2, chain 2, skip 2, chain 2, skip 2, and you're just going to just single crochet in the last 3 stitches that are left. So you're putting in your 2 as you normally did. You have 1 stitch left over, and then that'll be your final. So just throw a double crochet in there. So you kind of started off with 3 in the beginning, and then you have the spacing and etc. So you're gonna fasten that off, leave enough tail for you to sew it onto your character if you wish, and that's it for that. So let's cover just on how to sew these into position and get that ready for next time. So what I would do is position this in a way that you can see it, and just start off. Maybe you want to start off with the nose as just as your starting point. And I'm really bad for not getting things lined up properly, so I resort to pins, and I just go down and I pin it to the actual project. And then I'm starting with the nose because it's like a focal point, it's the center, and so I can position so it can straighten it up later. I just want a rough idea of where things are gonna go. So then I'm going to position the eyes, and you'll notice that the eyes kind of are not just straight, they're kind of just turned a little bit, maybe for expression. You can decide what you would like to do and position those eyes in. And I really like my pumpkin as is, to be honest with you, for my studio. But if you would like to sew these on, all you're just gonna do is take the tail end and just start with something, and then let that be your focal point. So you may actually want to start with your nose because we started in that position. So just putting in the tail into your tapestry needle. Now you do realize that when I did these triangles I actually traced them, so they actually have more of a refined edge. So I just want to go in through to the pumpkin. I just want to pick up some fibers, so when I pull it I can actually pull that orange, and I'm just gonna stay on the inside of the framing of that last circling that I did. So I'd highly recommend that. And then I'm gonna jump down. So don't jump down on the outside, just stay within the framing of it, and then just position to come back out, and watch those damn pins. You think I'm bad with the glue gun. So anyway, all you just need to do is just circle around like that. It's not hard to do, and then it's going to position it to your pumpkin idea. So it's kind of a neat idea. I really do like it just as a pumpkin without any facing on it. That's just my own personal preference here at home, but that's something that you can decide to do. And then when you're all the way around, just fasten it off like we've shown you before. And this is a neat idea for those little pumpkins. I think that if I would put a face on it if I would have done like the gray or the white, but in my case I just like it the way it is. And if you do it and then you decide that you don't like it, you can just take it and just safely and patiently just cut the strand that is holding it in, and then everything will fall out like that. So you can always fix it if you ever have to. So this is the cute little pumpkins. These are Three Little Pumpkins. I love that little song for Halloween, and it's something that you can decide for yourself. And I think that's it for today. And you can either have a great little pumpkin like this, or you can apply a face, and either way is still a winner. Have a good one, and we hope to see you again real soon. Bye bye.